On the matter of homosexuality, you don't have to take sides, just look for evidence. Don't have a preconceived notion. And don't condemn either side. Let God do that work. Just show the evidence. There's no proof homosexuality is genetic outside of the Bible. Science. Let's just take a look. Linda Bowles, New American Magazine. A larger number of Americans, including the elected politicians who write laws and set policies, have been conned into believing that homosexuals are born that way and that what they do to and with each other is as American as motherhood and apple pie. Ever read American history? It is one thing for the ordinary American to embrace deviancy, having been deluded by lies, myths, propaganda, and junk science. It is another thing for elected officials to spearhead a vicious, open assault on American society and some of its most cherished institutions based on such delusions. As one of 100 available examples to illustrate the point, the New Jersey Supreme Court has just ruled that the Boy Scouts of America broke the law when it threw out an openly homosexual scout leader. Now we don't have any Boy Scouts anymore. New Jersey has state anti-discrimination laws that specifically bar discrimination based on sexual preference. What we are witnessing is the shameless and perverse use of government power. We need to understand why this is happening and what is the thinking that rationalizes it. This can be said in a litany of lies about homosexuality. The most fundamental lie is the lie that homosexuals are born that way. It is a lie repeated over and over again because it has a basic appeal to the American sense of fairness and tolerance. Actually, I disagree with that. It sounds like America has looked at it in a fair way. Well, the current American sense of fairness and tolerance, which is compared to American history of 300 years, a very short period of time. Let's begin with a desperately needed reality check. There is no scientific proof that homosexuality is genetic. There is no scientific basis for viewing homosexuality as anything other than an acquired sexual dysfunction. The widely disrespected Dr. Joel Gellertner of Yale University was quoted in an article in Science as making this observation about various studies trying to link genes with complex human behavior. All were announced with great fanfare. All were greeted unskeptically in the popular press. All are now in disrepute. Among the studies in disrepute is the study of the brains of 35 male cadavers by Salk Institute research Simon LeVay. It reported that the cluster of neurons called INAH3 in the hypothalamus was generally smaller in 19 known homosexuals than in 16 heterosexuals. A lot of numbers that are very small here. Unfortunately, there were glaring problems with this study. The sample was too small, obviously. The sexuality of the 16 subjects classified as heterosexuals is suspect. 6 of them died of AIDS. In advanced stages, AIDS itself is known to cause clinical insanity and might well affect brain structure. And finally, it has not been established that the area of the hypothalamus being studied has anything to do with sexual orientation. Despite the lack of credibility, the media hailed it as a breakthrough in the quest to find a biological link with homosexual behavior. 1993, Dean Hammer of the National Cancer Institute studied 40 pairs of homosexual brothers and found that 33 of the pairs had DNA markers in the same chromosome region called XQ28. By happy chance, the study was released on the same day President Clinton was scheduled to lift the ban on homosexuals in the military. Surely that had nothing to do with the unusual zeal with which the media jumped on the study and hyperventilated about it. As examples, Mutual News Radio reported that researchers have isolated a gene found only in gay males. Newsweek published a cover story titled Gay Gene. The Wall Street Journal posted the headline, Research Points Toward a Gay Gene. And numerous eminent newspapers announced the new proof that homosexuals are born, not made. So, it goes on, alas, the study has been totally discredited. The sample size was inadequate. There was no control group of heterosexuals where markers might or might not have been found. Finally, the study was later repeated by George Ebers of the University of Western Ontario and with findings that directly contradict Hammer's conclusions. Ebers used a much larger sample than Hammer and reported that if one of the twins was homosexual, the other was also homosexual 52% of the time. This finding sheds light on the claim that being homosexual is like being black. Imagine what black parents would think if you told them that if they had identical twins, one of them was black, there was a 52% chance the other would also be black. The bottom line is this. Homosexuals are made, and they can be unmade. This is the truth about themselves that they desperately do not want to hear, that they have the power to change. This is the truth that psychiatrists and psychologists need to acknowledge. This is the truth that the American people need to know and that politicians need to understand. So studies refute the gay lobby. Charlie Reese states, New American Magazine, January 29, 2001, the homosexual lobby continues to push business says, the United Way and local governments to withdraw funding or other support from the Boy Scouts of America. Let's be clear about what this is. This is an attempt to coerce a private organization into lowering its moral standards. It is also an attempt to coerce a private organization into exposing its young boys to a greater danger of sexual abuse. Oh boy, this flies in the face of the homosexual lobby's two big assertions, that homosexuality is normal and that there is no connection between homosexuality and pedophilia and pederasty. I guess I don't know how to pronounce that. Wrong on both counts. And I suggest that before people buy this pink bilge, they do a little research. A good place to start is at this website there. I don't know if it's still up. NARTH is the National Association of Research and Therapy of Homosexuality. It is an organization of psychiatrists, psychologists, and other professionals. Here's what NARTH says about the question of homosexuality being normal and biologically determined. There is no scientific research indicating a biological or genetic cause for homosexuality. Biological factors may play a role in the predisposition to homosexuality, as it does in predispositions to serial killing, rape, road rage, sexual promiscuity, worry, and so on. However, this is true of many other psychological conditions. Research indicates that social and psychological factors are strongly influential. Examples include problems in early family relationships, sexual seduction, and a sense of inadequacy with same-sex peers, with resulting in disturbance in gender identity. Society can also influence a sexually questioning youth when it engages gay self-labeling. Take note, please, of the role of sexual seduction. The homosexual lobby's attempt to separate homosexuality from pedophilia simply doesn't hold water. For example, a homosexual magazine did a survey and found that 21% of the 2,500 respondents admitted that an adult man committed a sexual act with them by the time they were 15. The main lobbying effort to legalize sex with children is exclusively concerned with boys. A published book, Homosexualities by Alan Bell, reports that 25% of homosexual men admit to having had sex with boys who are 16 and under. Findings published by the American Medical Association show that 50% of male AIDS victims reported having sex with an adult male by the age of 16. 20% of the male AIDS victims had sex with an adult male by age 10. An abstract of a study in the Journal of Sex and Marital Therapy, spring 1992, states, this suggests the resulting proportion of true pedophiles among persons with a homoerotic development is greater, my emphasis, than that in persons who develop heterosexually. Another abstract from the Archives of Sexual Behavior states, results of this study also argue against the previous explanation of the high prevalence of homosexuality in pedophiles. Note that it says the study offers a different explanation. The high prevalence of homosexuality in pedophiles is accepted as a given. It is unfortunate that people are so easily duped by clever propaganda campaigns. Of course, I would say myself personally, people are easily duped by all kinds of clever propaganda campaigns. Of course, none of this argues for persecution or unkind treatment of homosexuals, but putting a homosexual into a tent with a young boy is not a good idea. Today, many scouts come from broken homes, and pedophiles deliberately play on a boy's longing for affection, especially when his father is missing from his life. Let's promote healthy children, not sodomy and pederasty, I guess. All right, we're done.